Welcome to the Panic Button. I'm Nina.
I'm Jessie.
Yes, and today we're reacting to Buck Angel and Blossom, Coach Blossom, on the Amala Epinobi podcast. The first one we're going to react to is them debating on should trans people use the bathroom of their biological sex.
The conservative position is that trans people should use the bathroom of their biological sex, what they were born as. How do you both feel about this?
Could you imagine if I went to the women's room? Let's start there.
Yes.
So it's a ridiculous statement. Now, there's a lot of nuance here. We need to have a discussion about nuance. It's not so black and white. We have a newer generation of self-ID trans people who are not willing to go the path that I, or possibly you, I don't know if you, to pass to look like a man or a woman. And that's why I've never had an issue about using the men's room. But we have a newer generation of people who are identifying as women who don't look like women and have beards and mustaches and don't necessarily want to be conforming to this idea. And that's fine. They should have every right to do that. But they also need to respect 99% of the world, which is cisgender. If you've never been in the women's room, it is a very much of a safe space on some level. There's a different energy in a woman's room than in a men's room.
Absolutely.
And so that being said, I understand that debate, and I understand why some people aren't comfortable with certain types of transgender people going in. And that's the nuance I think we need to have the discussion about. It's not so
100%.
simple.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with what Buck said. At the end of the day, if I didn't know Blossom, I might be a little weirded out by the really giant woman-looking thing walking in. But if Blossom's going to pee and leave, done. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's when dramatic things start happening, like people pulling out their phones and filming themselves, or when people who clearly have 5 o'clock shadow still and throw on a wig, that's where we have an issue.
When I was in my 20s and
Coming.
late teens, when I did run into a trans woman in the bathroom, it wasn't a big deal because it was so rare. But because now there are so many men pretending to be women and flexing online their dominance within female spaces and threatening women if they feel uncomfortable, I think because that is now a thing, women don't agree with men entering their locker rooms, bathrooms, sports, and all that stuff.
Oh, no,
but
like
if
I said.
just when we're talking about bathrooms, I think that because of all those men posting all that shit all over social media and it gaining so much attention, this is why more women have an issue with men who
Going
think
into
they're
the
women
bathroom.
going into our bathrooms. Yeah.
Yeah. But if, like I said, if you didn't know who Blossom was,
I know it was a man.
yes, but let's say
I'd feel uncomfortable, yeah.
doesn't look at you. My point is, there's no hindrance there.
You mean, okay, if, like, it was back when I was 21
Yeah, when it was like
and he were to enter the bathroom, yeah, I'd be
concerned.
I would be very aware of my surroundings, and I might actually leave the bathroom because he's so large.
Oh, I'd be very concerned.
You know, I would be incredibly concerned, and I would probably leave. Now, if it was like a small, more of like a Blair White type, I would not give two shits. And this is why, because I know I could take Blair. But anyone like that, like, I know I can take Pearl, right?
Yeah.
She might be bigger than me, but I know I can still fucking take that bitch. But someone like Blossom, no way in hell. So when someone's coming to my space who looks like a man and is giant, obviously any woman within their right mind is going to be like, oh, there's something, I'm feeling that female intuition in the pit of my stomach, like I need to be aware.
I'm saying that Blossom clearly is a large individual.
Yeah.
Especially compared to 5'1" me.
Yeah.
I couldn't take Blossom.
Yeah.
But do I want to send Blossom to the men's bathroom?
Yeah. Oh, you.
I'm not saying don't send Blossom to the men's bathroom. Send him to the family bathroom. Send him anywhere but my bathroom. You can use my bathroom when I'm not there.
This is how I look at it.
But
Okay.
wait on
Okay,
here.
go ahead. Go
There's
ahead.
There's a point to this.
Go ahead.
However, as much as I don't think I'd necessarily go to the men's bathroom,
Yeah.
I don't want them in mine, and I know I can't take Blossom, but Blossom can take other men.
That's the thing.
And that's why I'm very comfortable saying, please go use the men's restroom, because I am not comfortable.
Right. We're all strangers here. Blossom enters my bathroom. I'm feeling threatened because I don't know who this person is. This person could be a predator for all I know, right? We have to take precautions as females. Now, if someone like Blossom comes to me and says, oh, but the men in there could like beat me up, I'm like, first of all, I don't know you. You could be a predator.
You can
if
beat
you
me up.
attack me, you could kill me. If they attack you, you have a
Fighting
pretty
chance?
damn good chance of being able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So when it comes to things like that, they have no logical explanation for why they should be in there. If they look like Blossom, they don't belong in the women's restroom. If you look like a threat, sorry, go to the other one.
I think I'm a little gentler with this than you are,
Oh, of course.
but that's not a surprise to you. I don't want Blossom in my bathroom. I don't want someone who yells at women to listen to them because they happen to be one ethnicity that besides another. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that makes me want to keep Blossom out of our bathroom.
Absolutely.
Binary people.
Well, no, there's trans women who.
necessarily.
No, that's not true.
But no, but non-binary people can also be included in that though, because the reality of it is, again, transness is not a monolith.
And I do think there is something to be said about what Buck said. If you see somebody like Blair White, a very famous trans woman who looks, by all intents and purposes, like
Yes.
a woman,
Yes.
you would not want Blair White going into a men's bathroom.
That's
I
right.
mean, that is undeniable.
Let's just break down one thing that's very important in this conversation, and that is the female intuition.
I was gonna say
The female in what?
Blair looks like this. Insert photo. Blossom looks like this. Insert photo. And
Right.
that's the difference.
Female intuition. When a female doesn't even have to think. When someone is in their space, they automatically feel threatened without having to even think about it. So someone like Blair coming into our space, we don't get that feeling. Someone like Blossom, it is just bam, automatic. There it is.
Well, 'cause
So whoa,
Blossom
something's off,
believes
something's off. You
that
know.
Blossom has power.
Exactly, a very dominating presence, which does not belong in any female space.
So,
Fact of the matter is,
calm down.
I would not want you going into a men's bathroom,
That's
and I would
right.
not want you going into a women's bathroom. Let's be very clear about that. So, what is to be said for the trans individuals who look like their biological sex? Who
See, but the reality of it is, trans people should go into the restroom where they individually feel comfortable going in. And I needed to bring up what you were saying about trans women with like mustache and beards, because some of them do identify as non-binary, and some of them tend to go back and forth between the women and the men's restroom. And what I've learned from them is a lot of them there's this issue around safety, where sometimes they feel like they may have to go on this side for their safety or go on that side for their safety. And the reality of it is, it's like, okay, where do we land in the middle around this? And honestly,
oh, she's trying real hard to sound smart. I give her him shim.
I give
He
Shim
him
I give
credit.
Shim.
Him. I don't know. I'm all confused.
I should have bought vodka for tonight. That would have been 2 shots already.
Oh, Jesus, Christmas in heaven. Every time I look up, I'm like, not a woman. Oh, my Lord in heaven. Whoa, that is a giant melon. What, he called me what, Morticia? No, not Morticia. The mom from the Munsters.
Listen, she's hot. She told me I'm a boy. Which, by the way, misgendering anyone?
It wasn't bad. It did make me laugh a little bit.
when it comes to going in the bathroom, I really could give 2 shits about what you have between your legs. I will go in there and do my business, you go in there and do your business, that's fine. But a lot of conservatives like to weaponize that and try to use it as a talking point to all of a sudden empower themselves. And I feel like it's a lot more of the alt-right.
No, darling, ma'am, sir, you're missing the point. No, it's not. It's not a conservative thing. It has nothing to do with that.
It's a safety thing.
It's a safety thing because you're a biological man. You don't understand that there is always a fear lurking within the back of every female's mind when she has to leave the house. Regardless of what she says, unless she has been so privileged that she's never seen any or experienced any sort of
Altercations?
yeah, anything bad in life. If she's never experienced anything bad in life, then I don't want to hear her opinion because she hasn't actually experienced life. She's too privileged. She doesn't deserve an opinion on the matter. Blossom, I gotta say, he's like that. He's like a overprivileged white woman, I guess you could say, because he doesn't understand how it works to walk around
He'll never
as a
understand.
woman. Right. So
This
that's why he's
individual will
like,
never
I'm just going in
understand.
there to pee, that's all. But he doesn't walk around as like a 5-foot, 110-pound female since birth. He's never done that. So he doesn't know what it's like to actually be prey walking around in this
Right.
on this earth. Now, a lot of women will say, "Oh, you're just like too afraid, or you're just being overly cautious." As a woman living in this world, you have to be overly cautious because there will come a time where you will be faced with something you didn't expect to face, and do you want to be the woman who's prepared, or do you want to be the woman who's like, "Fuck, that bitch was right.
So
That bitch who I said was overly scared was right."
locker rooms and bathrooms are literally connected always. Because gender. And if you're going to say that there's no reason for us to be talking about the bathroom thing because people are just doing their business and leaving, then I will reference WeSpa, and I will reference the Planet Fitness thing that just happened, and I'll also reference
Next, Benedict.
Next. Yeah. That
chick?
young
Girl.
individual.
It was a young girl. She
They-
was mentally disturbed like I was when I was that age. And if she would have gotten mental help aside from gender help,
You're missing
she
the point.
would
You're
still
missing the
be
point.
alive.
You're missing the
Okay.
point. I'm going to bring up WeSpa. I'm going to bring up the Planet Fitness situation. And I'm going to bring up the Next Benedict situation also. Because where was that child attacked? A bathroom. Mm-hmm. So clearly, things can happen in a bathroom, whether or not you know about it or care about it. This girl, who was identifying as non-binary, I believe, went into the girls' restroom and was beaten up for it. It's not safe for either participant, for the person who is trans going in and for the person who is their biological sex going in. Because the trans individual has a big chance of getting hurt. Remember that one video we watched where they dragged the tranny out by their hair?
Oh, the black woman, yeah.
Yeah. So when I say
Yeah, they weren't having that shit.
it's not only a danger for us, it's a danger for you, I'm not saying I'm going to cause you danger. I'm saying that there are people who will cause a fuss. You're choosing to do this.
You're choosing to put yourself into a situation where
And
it's going to make
others.
other people uncomfortable.
Yes.
Now, is that something that you're cool with? That will show us what type of person you are.
Right, like the really radical right that I see it happens more of, because I feel like when you land it more in the middle as a moderate, like the conversation's there, but it's not horrible. Like we can sit here and have the discussion around it, but I think it's really a right-wing talking point, and they've just found a way to try to really try to weaponize white supremacy against us within this issue, because the reality of it is, again, it's like, why do you care what restroom I go into?
Oh, whoa. Oh, bad person to bring onto a debate. Woo!
It's also very interesting because
Not
Amala-
one good argument.
if it's a right-wing talking point, why do you assume that the right then equals white supremacy? Because there are people like Candace Owens on the right. There are people like the Night Talk guy we watch. We watch, what's the guy's name? Greg Foreman. There's plenty.
Officer Tatum.
Zuby.
Zuby.
Tons
Nisi.
and tons of black individuals who are Republican. And we're not Republican.
Coleman Hughes.
I don't understand where the race card got thrown in here.
Blossom has to use the race card because Blossom has no good argument. So he uses ad hominems and left-wing talking points, which is really funny.
Racism.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. It's quite sad. I wish he would do a little bit better. Just a little bit better with the arguments instead
also-
of like dodging the argument and then bringing something else in that has nothing to do with the argument in order to like try to win instead of actually defending your argument.
Giving good, valuable
Yeah,
arguments.
yeah, it's kind of
And you're using it against a white
woman.
woman
I
and,
mean,
and a black woman. Like,
Well,
so-
black and white,
well-
unless half and half.
But she's not so light-skinned you can't tell. She's black.
She's black and white.
Okay, and I'm Puerto Rican and white.
Yeah.
Which do you see first?
White.
What do you see first?
Black.
Yeah.
But you still have black and white.
I understand, but she has black experience as much as Blossom has black experience.
I think Blossom was a prostitute, so I don't think so.
That's not black experience. That's just being a
Well, it's
prostitute.
black trans woman experience, though, isn't it?
That's her personal experience. But I'm saying the experience of being black, they share mutually.
Not as black women, though.
No, just what I said. Don't
Right.
go outside of what I said. Just the experience of being black is something they share. So Amala has every right to speak up on this and say, hang on.
Yes,
Why are
I'm
you
very
saying
disagreeable
that?
with you.
Huh?
Nothing.
You're very disagreeable, you said?
Okay. So let's talk about the conservatives and the accusation of weaponizing the bathroom debate here. I think we do have to talk about real instances of this going wrong and this going awry. And it's not an accusation for the trans community or
Going to the trans women. Let's move on to the trans women and female sports debate. Sorry, trans identifying men in women's sports.
Whatever you want to say, it's still wrong.
Dudes who think they're chicks.
piece of conversation here. Here's the statement. Trans women should not compete in female sports.
I want to hear his opinion on that.
Sure, I think everyone knows my opinion. So yes, I do not believe trans.
I think everybody knows my opinion.
Yeah.
Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything. Julie Numa.
I love Buck.
Should be competing in female sports at this time. So I do think eventually we might be able to move forward in that. But, you know, from the biological standpoint and from all of my research on it, and also being a female athlete, I was a professional female athlete, and I ran in the 80s against the USSR, which basically those women could have been trans dudes.
Because you know those bitches were taking tea.
Yeah.
Oh, the Russians were definitely juicing.
I'm on there like this with a mustache. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, are you kidding? So I come from the steroid days.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
anyway, I do have actual real lived experience in that. And so I do not believe that it is a fair space. And sports is about fairness. That's why you call sportsmanship, all of those things. It's a very difficult conversation. And it's not me saying trans women don't belong. It's me saying, no, we need to figure it out. And for the time being, I don't think that women should be pushed to the side so that one trans woman could come in and compete and basically rip the whole system apart.
So this was what me and you
We did debate about this. Yes, we did.
went just like this about this topic, though, and it was actually a really good conversation. So I feel grateful to even be having this conversation again, because the first time I felt like there were things I just left out, and I was like, shoot, I should have said that.
Sure.
But I do believe, of course, trans women should.
Could you feel that? The tension. The tension in the way Amala said, sure.
should be able to compete in sports with cis women. And the reality of it is, number one, you don't know the genetic composition of a person. You just don't know.
Yes, you do. If they're a female, they have XX chromosomes.
Hold on.
If they're a male,
Hold on.
they have
Let's
XY chromosomes.
Give Blossom a chance.
The fact of the matter is that if you have a vagina, you have XX chromosomes. If you have a penis, you have XY chromosomes. It's not rocket science.
Which one you got?
Guess.
Cisgender women who look masculine, who are also stronger than trans women, who may have longer legs, longer arms. If a cisgender woman grew up and, you know, they had access to a trainer, you know what I mean? They may be trained to be able to run faster than some transgender women. You know what I mean?
If a woman had a trainer, then she's gonna beat a man that's a foot taller than her and has testosterone pumping through his veins.
I'm still giving Blossom a chance.
Why?
'cause,
There's nothing valid in what's being said.
I know.
Tell me one thing that Blossom has said in the last 30 seconds that has any relevance to the topic at hand.
Nothing yet. I can completely demolish that argument. I'm just waiting
Go ahead,
to see
go
if
ahead.
there's any.
No, there's nothing contextually valid in there. Continue, though.
Just don't know that. I just think society looks at the whole binary. Oh, this trans woman was once, this is what they say, was once a man, so of course she's gonna always have the agility that a cisgender woman can't. Well, there are some cisgender women who have higher level of testosterone, right? And I also think we have to be very careful that cisgender women aren't affected in such a negative way, because the reality of it is, if a cisgender woman does look masculine, she may go through scrutiny, going through all of these different tests, going through all of these different things, just to see if she can have to prove her womanhood to be able to compete in women's sports. And I think sometimes we forget that
What? No. They might test her if they think that she's
Juicing.
but they all get tests. They all get tested to make sure that they're not on any performance enhancing
You know
medications.
what? When it comes to scrutiny, and I hate to bring this up as an example because she just had Dylan Mulvaney, but Lady
Yeah.
Gaga, for
Gaga.
years, everybody asked her, "Do you have a penis? Do you
Oh
have a
my
penis?"
God! I saw.
Do you have a
I used to
penis?
see all those doctored
Yeah,
photos of her Huang.
Right. She's not even masculine. I know she's like 5'1" too. She's very
Yeah,
5'2"
she's short.
maybe.
Yeah,
she's
she's small.
short. She's small, and people were still asking her if she had a penis. She just asked me if I have a penis.
I
like,
did.
it's not as deep as you think it is. Everyone has to deal with scrutiny. Guys get called girls, feminine, sissies, and women get called men constantly. It's how you take it. If you're an athlete and you know you're a woman, you'll do all the tests because you are not ashamed and you have nothing to hide. The difference is that you want people not to test you so you can just pass on through.
You get the domino effect of how everybody can actually be impacted by that. And I don't
And the fact of the matter is, you're not fighting for cis women. You're actually very against cis women. Because I guarantee you, most women do not agree with you.
I think it's like 70% or 75% of the population is against men and women's sports. It's a high percentage.
think that's fair to
Okay.
any woman that has to go through that. Trans women, cis women, I don't care. And I just really think that we have to begin to wake that up. Now, let's be 100% real about this. If trans people were to get their own sports arena, was to get their own, spaces around sports, would people really
Tell me you don't know about sports without telling me you don't know about sports. If trans people got their own arena.
Okay.
tune in to see a bunch of trans people compete against each other?
Honestly, it might be the hottest event
I
of the
think
year.
so. Actually, I dig it.
No, it'd be the hottest event
People
of the year
watch.
once.
People watch.
Once. Then it would be a clown show the next year and the year after that, and people would get bored. Because it wouldn't be a competition. Well, maybe they would make a reality show out of it, kind of like the Real Housewives.
Yeah, I
Maybe like
think-
the real trannies of.
I think if you did like
Football.
Big Brother style, and then they're like, and this bitch Taisha, she came up, and can you believe it?
And this bitch, Indigo, whatever, what's her name? Indigo Willoughby? Willoughby. What the fuck your name?
And then Carmen Sandiego walked in.
It's just Easy Weezy. What the fuck is
Wheezy Yeezys.
India Willoughby? That dude?
Oh, I don't
that
know.
That little.
I don't know
like,
the last name.
The
but-
lollipop
the one,
girl.
the one that tried to get J.K. Rowling arrested.
Yeah, that one.
People will watch that.
First of all, thank you for your support around it. But let's be real, y'all. Let's be real as society. Society as a whole is not going to really give a damn. They're not going to turn on NBC to see a bunch of trans people competing against each other. I'm sorry. They're just
There's not even
But let's-
enough
the thing
athletes
is-
to do that.
Yeah, there's not.
There's not enough
yeah,
But let's
Well, you know
break
what I'm
down.
saying?
We gotta. So just because a case might not be that the U.S. would not tune in to watch something like that, does that mean that we have to place biological women at a disadvantage in a sport that is meant to
I
represent them?
disagree. It's not a
Well,
disadvantage.
so let's talk about that. And you gave your points there. So there are rules and there are exceptions to the rule. There are plenty of exceptional women who are in many ways stronger or faster than biological men, but they are exceptions to the rule that men are stronger. They have more bone density, more lung capacity, larger hands,
It
larger
goes back to the
feet.
individual self, though. See, that's the thing, though. You don't know somebody's genetic composition unless every individual person, unless you
So are we going to have a height limit on trans? Like, what is then the proposition if you can acknowledge that there are differences in men and women, and then you can acknowledge that the exceptions are the ones that must play, then you have to give a very ridiculous exception of like only 5'1" trans women can compete, right?
So if you have men's sports and women's sports, okay, you have the female specimen. Now, in general, a female is within the height of, let's say, the shortest 4'11", the tallest, let's say, 5'8".
I've met women as short as 4'8".
But in general, a woman's natural height is 5'2", right? A woman's natural weight at 5'2" is around like 125, 130. that. So in general, women are usually anywhere from 4'11" to like 5'8" and around a certain weight. Men,
Did you hear what I asked you before? If that's what they're acknowledging, right? Are we not going to have certain height stipulations then and weight stipulations?
we do have weight stipulations.
No, that's what I'm saying. If Blossom believes this so true and can admit that there's exceptions, and are we only going to allow the exceptions in then? Are we going to have to set a height limit for trans identifying men in women's sports at like 5'1", 5'2"? Like, what are we going to do? Because a 5'8" man versus a 5'8" woman is still stronger.
Yeah, as I was saying, in general, a woman is this height and this
Yeah,
weight.
yeah.
In general, a man is this height and this weight. Their strengths are a certain number. The strengths of a women are a certain number. Just because there is a woman who is like 6'2", like Pearl, and can bench like 250, doesn't mean that she's within the norm. She is the exception, which will make her a pretty good like volleyball or basketball player. But the only women that are going to do good within the basketball and volleyball
Are also women who
are
are
also
6
women
feet.
who are going to be tall and stuff like that. So there are the exceptions within
Women.
women. If you allow the exceptions of men to compete with the exceptions of women, men are going to win 99.9% of the time.
Easily.
So, and then if you want to get into the whole let's allow men into women's sports, then should we allow able-bodied people to compete within the Paralympics? Because now you're opening a door for a lot of different conversations to happen. Do we want to have those conversations?
Oh, let's get on with this.
Genetic composition. Unless you, every individual person, unless you actually know what their genetic composition is, because that's not all true. Not every man has stronger bone density.
But
not every man.
But we're
has
talking
faster
statistics.
agility.
We're talking statistics.
We're talking
But
statistics.
see, this is what we, you know what I'm saying? We statistics. It's like if you cannot actually name the statistic and the reference that it comes from.
Oh my God. No, you're listening to your own voice. You're not listening to what they're saying. You're like, you're just hearing yourself. You're not actually listening to what they're saying. And what they're saying is that we're talking about in general women, in general men. We're not saying in general women, but the exception is
Every
going to prove
time-
my point. It's like, no, it's not going to work.
Every time someone says something like, "Oh, well, I want to see it." Okay,
We're not talking about statistics, though. We're talking about
should or shouldn't.
in general.
Yes. Whenever, but that's their favorite line.
This isn't statistics. This is like known since the beginning of time.
The left has a line when it comes to these arguments, which is I'd have to see the statistics. I'd have to see it.
Yeah, but then they say they have statistics and then they never send them over.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, I have those statistics. I'll send them to you. I'll send them.
Well, you know who's
And
got a
then-
fucking computer?
And then they don't send them.
If they waited 5 seconds, I
But
I
then
bet
you
you
look
would.
at the statistics and you look at the studies and you see all the flaws within those studies and who financed those studies. And then you realize you really got to do your research or else you're just talking out of your ass like Blossom.
I'm
we
sorry.
can.
I can't.
But we
I can't.
can.
Yeah.
But we can. And secondly, I just want to reiterate, I was a professional female athlete.
I understand
Were you a
that.
professional athlete ever? Were you in athletics
I was not.
prior to transition?
I was not.
Okay, so I was. So you have to understand, I have actual experience in this. There are definitely some women who are much stronger, much faster, but that is such a small
Women
amount.
meaning cis women, right?
I'm talking about, yes,
Biological.
cisgender women.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
sure,
biological women. Yeah.
I'm gonna say cis woman.
Well, I'm going to say biological. My friends don't like cis, so I use
That's
biological. That being said, I do believe that men and women, biological men and women, have differences. It's the reason why we segregated sports from the beginning.
Yes.
If sports wasn't segregated from the beginning, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
And I always-
But as a professional female athlete, I can tell you that I even ran against the guys and kicked their ass, but I was that exceptional athlete. That being said, there was not one other woman in my arena that could even touch me or be around that. I'm an exception to that rule.
So it's so funny that you said that because I was actually thinking about this morning on my way here about why sports is so segregated. You know what I mean? Why you have to have the WNBA who gets paid a lot less than the folks that work at the
Well, they're changing that, by the
You
way.
know what I mean?
Yeah, they're changing
they're
women's
changing
sports
it
now.
now, but it's been happening for so
Yeah,
long.
well, change takes time.
And change takes time.
Okay, now Blossom's getting off on a tangent about something else that had nothing to do with the actual argument that we
At
were
hand,
talking about.
yeah.
So this is where we're gonna cut it.
Cut it.
Cut the dick right off.
The fact of the matter is, you can join our memberships and
You
get
can.
early access to our videos.
Or you could subscribe. That would be much easier.
You should have subscribed.
Already. What the hell are you doing?
Like, comment, subscribe.
Comment part 2, because there's a lot of this left. Oh, the fact of the matter is.